The space around Earth looked peaceful that morning. The sun shone bright on the blue planet, and everything seemed normal. But far away, at the edge of the solar system, something terrible was coming. Admiral Catherine Brooks stood in the command. Center on Earth, she was a tall woman with gray hair and serious eyes. She had been fighting space battles for 20 years. Today, she looked at the big screen in front of her and felt scared for the first time in a long time. The screen showed 3,000 enemy ships. They were black and huge, floating in space. Like metal monsters, each ship was bigger than a city. They belonged to the Zephyrian Empire, aliens who had been taking over star systems for 10 years. They gave us 3 days, said General Paul Martinez. He was standing next to Catherine. His voice was quiet and worried. We have to give up and become their slaves, or they will destroy everything. Catherine nodded. She knew the Zephyrians. Well, they had destroyed 17 different worlds. They always did the same thing. They brought huge fleets and scared their enemies. Then they would fight big battles and win because they had more ships. Our spies tell us they expect us to send all our ships, said Chairman Henry Clark. He was the leader of Earth's government. They think we will put everything we have into one big fight. Catherine looked at the numbers on her screen. Earth had 800 ships. The enemy had 3,000. It was not a fair fight. If they did what everyone expected, Earth would lose badly. Every other world tried the same thing, said Dr. Lisa Morgan. She was the smartest person Catherine knew about war. They sent their biggest fleets. They fought as hard as they could. But the Zephyrians always had more ships. They always won. The room became very quiet. Everyone was thinking about what would happen to Earth. The Zephyrians did not treat their prisoners well. They made them work as slaves. They took their resources and left their planets empty. Catherine had seen the reports from other worlds. She had seen pictures of destroyed cities and broken people. She would not let that happen to Earth. There had to be another way. What if we do something different? She said suddenly. Everyone looked at her. What if we do something they do not expect? General Martinez frowned. What do you mean? They expect us to send our whole fleet, Catherine said. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. That is what every other world did. But what if we do the opposite? Chairman Clark leaned forward. The opposite? What if we send just one ship? The room exploded with noise. Everyone started talking at once. Some people laughed. Some people looked angry. General Martinez stood up fast. That is crazy, Catherine. He said, 1 ship against 3,000? That is not a battle. That is suicide. Maybe, Catherine said. But think about it. The Zephyrians have never lost a battle. They always win the same way. They bring more ships than their enemy. They use their numbers to crush everyone. But what if their enemy does not play by those rules? Dr. Morgan shook her head. Even if we had the best ship ever built, the math does not work. 1 ship cannot beat 3,000. The math is exactly what they expect us to think about, Catherine said. Every world they conquered thought about numbers. They all tried to build bigger fleets. They all tried to match the Zephyrians ship for ship. And they all lost. She walked to the big screen and pointed at the enemy fleet. Look at them. They are sitting there, waiting for us to do what everyone else did. They are confident. They think they know what will happen. They think this will be just another easy victory. Catherine turned back to face the room. But what if we surprise them? What if we do something so different that they do not know how to respond? Which ship, asked Chairman Clark, which ship could possibly handle a mission like that? Catherine smiled for the first time that day. The USS Defiance. Captain Jake Sullivan's ship. We have been working on it for 5 years. It has new weapons that we had never used in battle. It has shields that can adapt to any attack. It has computers that can think faster than any human. Even with all that, said General Martinez, it is still just one ship. Yes, Catherine agreed, but it is the right ship. And more importantly, it has the right crew. Jake Sullivan is the best captain in our fleet. His people are brave and smart. If anyone can do this, it is them. Dr. Morgan was looking at her computer. The new quantum torpedoes are untested in real battle. We do not know if they will work against Zephyrian shields. Then we will find out, Catherine said. We have 3 days before they attack. We can. Prepare the Defiance and brief Captain Sullivan. We can give him everything he needs to succeed. And if he fails? Asked Chairman Clark. Catherine was quiet for a moment. She looked at the screen showing the enemy fleet. 3,000 ships, waiting to destroy her world. She thought about her children and grandchildren. She thought about everyone on Earth who was counting on her to keep them safe. If he fails, she said finally, then we will still have our main fleet. We can still fight the big battle they expect. But if he succeeds, we will have won without losing thousands of ships and millions of lives. The room was quiet again. Everyone was thinking about her plan. It was crazy. It was dangerous. It went against everything they had been taught about space warfare. But it was also the only plan that might work. The Zephyrians have conquered 17 worlds, Catherine continued. They have never lost a battle. They think they know everything about war, but they have never fought humans before. They do not know how we think. They do not know that we will try anything to protect our home. She looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. We have always been different. When other people said something was impossible, we found a way to do it. When other people gave up, we kept fighting. This is our chance to show the galaxy who we really are. General Martinez sat down slowly. You really think one ship can defeat 3,000? I think one ship with the right plan can do what 3,000 ships without a plan cannot, Catherine sighed. The Zephyrians expect us to be afraid. They expect us to panic and throw everything we have at them. Instead, we are going to be smart. We are going to be patient. And we are going to show them that humans do not give up easily. Chairman Clark nodded slowly. If we are going to do this, we need to do it right. Captain Sullivan will need to know everything about the enemy. He will need the best weapons and the best crew. He will have them, Catherine promised. The Defiance is already equipped with our most advanced technology. The crew has been training for months. They are ready. Dr. Morgan looked up from her. Computer, the quantum torpedoes have enough power to destroy a small moon. If they work as designed, they could cause serious damage to the enemy fleet. Then we have a chance, Catherine said. A real chance to win this war before it really starts. The meeting continued for hours. They planned every detail of the mission. They talked about what could go wrong and how to fix it. They prepared for every possibility they could think of. When the meeting ended, Catherine stayed behind. She looked at the screen showing the enemy fleet. 3,000 ships, waiting to destroy her world. In 3 days, one human ship would face them all. It was the craziest plan she had ever heard of. It was also the only plan that might save Earth. She picked up her phone and called Captain Jake Sullivan. It was time to tell him about his mission. It was time to tell him that the fate of humanity rested on his shoulders. The enemy expected an Armada. But humanity was going to give them something they had never seen before. They were going to give them one ship, one crew, and one chance to change the course of galactic history. The war was about to begin. And it would not be the war anyone expected. Captain Jake Sullivan stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance. He was a tall man with dark hair and calm eyes. He had been in many battles, but none like this one. In 2 hours, his ship would face the biggest enemy fleet in history. The Defiance was not like other ships. It was smaller than most warships, but it was built for speed and power. For 5 years, Earth's best scientists had worked on it. They had given it weapons that had never been used in battle. They had given it shields that could change and adapt. They had given it computers that could think almost like humans. "Sir, all systems are working perfectly," said Lieutenant Commander Amy Peterson. She was in charge of the ship's weapons. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she checked everything one more time. "The course is set," said Commander Ryan Walsh from his seat at the front of the bridge. "We will reach the enemy fleet in 1 hour and 43 minutes. Jake nodded. He looked around at his crew. These were the best people he had ever worked with. They were smart, brave, and loyal. Today, they would need to be all of those things and more. He pressed a button on his chair. His voice would now go to every part of the ship. "This is Captain Sullivan. In less than 2 hours, we will face the largest enemy fleet ever seen. They have 3,000 ships. We have 1. He paused and looked at the faces of his bridge crew. They were scared, but they were ready. The enemy thinks we should be afraid. They think we will panic and make mistakes. They think one ship cannot possibly win against 3,000. Jake stood up from his chair. "But they do not know us. They do not know that humans have always done impossible things. They do not know that we do not give up, even when everyone says we should." Down in the engine room, Chief Engineer Danny Torres was watching the ship's power systems. The Defiance had a new type of engine that made more power than any ship had ever had before. It was dangerous, but it worked. Today, they would need every bit of that power. "The quantum torpedoes are ready," Danny said into his communication device. "All 6 tubes are loaded. The targeting computer is working perfectly." The quantum torpedoes were Earth's newest weapon. Each one had enough power to destroy a city. They had been tested many times, but never in a real battle. Today would be the first time they were used against an enemy. "Sir?" called Lieutenant Sarah Kim from her position at the communication station. "The enemy is trying to talk to us. It is Admiral Vexstar, the leader of their fleet." Jake straightened his uniform, put him on the main screen. The big screen at the front of the bridge came to life. It showed the face of Admiral Vexstar, the commander of the Zephyrian fleet. He looked like a giant lizard with sharp teeth and cold eyes. His scales were dark green, and his voice was deep and scary. "I am Admiral Vexstar of the Zephyrian Empire," the alien said. He sounded angry and surprised. "I expected your entire fleet. I expected a great battle. Instead, you send me one small ship." Jake stepped forward. He kept his voice calm and strong. "Admiral Vexstar, I am Captain Jake Sullivan of the USS Defiance. You are right. We could have sent our whole fleet. We decided one ship would be enough." The alien's eyes became narrow. "Enough for what, human? To die quickly? To give my crews something to laugh about before we destroy your planet? Enough to send you running back to wherever you came from," Jake said. His voice was steady and confident. "You see, Admiral, you made a mistake. You thought that having more ships means you will always win. But sometimes, the right ship with the right crew can do what 1,000 ships cannot." Vexstar looked even more angry. "You speak big words for someone who is about to die. My computers tell me your ship has weak weapons. Your shields are old and slow. What can one ship do against 3,000? Why don't you come closer and find out?" Jake said. With a small smile, the alien's face twisted with rage. "You will regret those words, human. I will capture your ship and make you watch as we burn your world. Then you will learn what happens to those who challenge the Zephyrian Empire." The screen went dark. Admiral Vextar had ended the communication. Jake turned to his crew. Well, that went well. He is angry now. Angry people make mistakes. Sir, said Amy, the enemy ships are moving. They are forming an attack pattern. It looks like they want to capture us, not destroy us. Jake smiled. Perfect. That is exactly what we want them to think. Ryan, prepare for evasive maneuvers. Make them think we are trying to run away. The Defiance suddenly changed direction. It looked like the ship was trying to escape from the enemy fleet. This was all part of Jake's plan. He wanted the Zephyrians to think his ship was weak and scared. They are taking the bait, reported Amy. 12 enemy ships are breaking formation to chase us. They are moving fast. Jake watched the enemy ships. On his screen, they were big and powerful, but they were also overconfident. They thought catching one human ship would be easy. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Danny, how are the quantum torpedoes? Jake asked. Ready and waiting, Captain, came the reply from the engine room. The targeting system has locked onto their biggest ship. We can fire whenever you give the order. The adaptive shields are at full power, added Commander Walsh. We can take several hits before they realize what our ship can really do. Jake nodded. Everything was going according to plan. The enemy was chasing them, thinking they were about to capture a weak and frightened ship. Instead, they were about to face the most advanced weapon Earth had ever built. Sir, said Sarah, more enemy ships are joining the chase. 24 ships now. They are fighting with each other about who gets to capture us first. Jake laughed. Look at them. They are so sure they will win that they are breaking their own formation. They are making themselves weak just so they can be the first to claim a prize. This was exactly what Admiral Brooks had predicted. The Zephyrians had won so many battles that they had become careless. They thought every enemy would be the same. They thought every battle would be easy. This is why they have never lost. Jake said to his crew, they are so confident that they forget to be careful. They see one ship and think it must be weak. They do not consider that maybe we sent one ship because one ship is all we need. The enemy ships were getting closer. Their weapons were charging up, ready to fire. Jake could see the energy building up in their guns. Soon they would attack. Sir, they are in weapons range, Amy reported. They are trying to contact us again. They want us to surrender. Ignore them, Jake ordered. Let them think we are too scared to talk. Danny, are you ready? All systems are go, Captain. Danny replied. The quantum torpedoes are locked and loaded. Just give the word. Jake looked at his crew one more time. These brave people had volunteered for what everyone thought was a suicide mission. They had trusted him with their lives. Now it was time to show them that their trust was not misplaced. This is it, he said. This is where we find out if all those years of planning and preparation were worth it. In a few minutes, we will either save Earth or die trying. The enemy. Ships opened fire. Bright beams of energy shot through space toward the Defiance. The ship's shields absorbed the attacks, but Jake made sure some damage showed on the outside. He wanted the enemy to think they were winning. We are taking hits, Ryan reported, playing his part perfectly. Shields are holding, but we are showing. Damage. Perfect, Jake said. Let them think they are about to win. Sarah, are you ready to record everything? Yes, sir, Sarah replied. Every moment of this battle will be recorded. If we succeed, the whole galaxy will know what happened here. Jake took a deep breath. The next few minutes would decide the fate of Earth. Either his plan would work, or they would all die in space, far from home. All hands, prepare for combat maneuvers, he announced to the entire ship. We are about to show the galaxy what humans can do when they refuse to give up. The Defiance suddenly spun around in space. The movement was so fast, and unexpected that the enemy ships could not react in time. They had been expecting a weak ship trying to run away. Instead, they found themselves facing the most dangerous weapon in human history. "Fire all quantum torpedoes," Jake ordered. "Target their command ship. Let us see what these new weapons can really do." 6 brilliant streaks of light shot out from the Defiance. Each torpedo carried enough destructive power to crack a planet. The enemy flagship, caught completely by surprise, had no time to defend. Itself, the battle for Earth had begun. And it was not going to be the battle anyone expected. The 6 quantum torpedoes flew through space like shooting stars. Each one was a ball of pure energy, brighter than the sun. The enemy flagship, a massive ship bigger than 10 city blocks, had no time to move or raise its shields. The first torpedo hit the command center. The explosion was so bright that it lit up the darkness of space like a second sun. The second torpedo hit the engine room. The third hit the weapons bay. The fourth, fifth, and sixth torpedoes hit in perfect sequence, each one causing more damage than the last. "Direct hit," reported Lieutenant Commander Amy Peterson, her voice filled with amazement. "The enemy flagship is completely destroyed. Admiral Vexstar is dead." Captain Jake Sullivan watched the explosion on his screen. Where once there had been a huge warship, now there was only burning metal and gas floating in space. The pride of the Zephyrian fleet was gone, but Jake was not finished. "Target the other command ships," he ordered. "Use the regular torpedoes. We need to break their ability to talk to each other." The USS Defiance moved through space like a dancer. Its new engines made it faster than any ship the enemy had ever seen. Its computer brain could think and react faster than any human. It locked onto target after target with perfect accuracy. "Firing conventional torpedoes," Amy announced. "All targets acquired." More streaks of light shot out from the human ship. These torpedoes were not as powerful as the quantum ones, but they were still deadly. Each one found its target. Command ships exploded one after another. The carefully organized enemy fleet began to fall apart. "My God," whispered Commander Ryan Walsh from his position at the ship's controls. "Look at what we are doing to them." On the main screen, they could see the enemy fleet in chaos. Ships were crashing into each other. Some were spinning out of control. Others were trying to run away. The perfect formation that had looked so scary just minutes before was now a mess. "They do not know what to do," observed Lieutenant Sarah Kim. "Without their command ships, they cannot talk to each other. They are like a body without a brain." Jake nodded. This was exactly what Earth scientists had predicted. The Zephyrian Empire was strong because all their ships worked together. But if you broke that connection, they became weak and confused. "Danny, how are our power levels?" Jake asked. "Still strong, Captain," came the reply from Chief Engineer Danny Torres in the engine room. "The new reactor is working even better than we hoped. We have enough power for many more attacks." "Amy, damage report on the enemy fleet," Jake ordered. Amy's fingers moved quickly over her controls. 17 command ships destroyed. 23 more damaged. They are trying to rebuild their communication network, but it is not working. I am reading collision warnings all through their fleet." Jake smiled. The enemy had never faced anything like this before. For years, they had won battles by bringing more ships than their enemies. But more ships did not help if those ships did not know what to do. "Sir," Sarah called out, "we are getting surrender messages from individual enemy ships." "They want to give up." "Not yet," Jake replied. "We are not done. Target their supply ships. If they cannot get fuel and ammunition, even their biggest ships will be helpless." The Defiance moved deeper into the enemy fleet. Its shields absorbed the random shots that came its way. Most of the enemy ships were too confused to aim properly. They were used to fighting in groups, not as individual ships. "This is incredible," Amy said as she watched her targeting computer lock onto supply ship after supply ship. "They are sitting there like targets. They do not know how to fight without orders from their commanders." Jake understood why. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered many worlds by using the same strategy over and over. They brought a huge fleet, scared their enemies, and won through sheer numbers. But they had never learned how to adapt when their strategy did not work. "Fire on the supply." "Ships," Jake ordered. "Make every shot count." The Defiance's weapons fired again and again. Each shot was perfectly aimed. Supply ships exploded or broke apart. The enemy fleet was not only losing its ability to communicate, it was also losing its ability to fight. "Sir," Ryan reported, "the outer edge of their fleet is pulling back. They are trying to retreat. Let them go," Jake said. "But not all of them. Open a channel to the entire enemy fleet. It is time to send a message." Sarah worked quickly at her controls. "Channel open." "Sir, every ship in their fleet can hear you." Jake stood up and straightened his uniform. He looked directly at the camera that would send his image to thousands of enemy ships. His voice was calm and strong. "This is Captain Jake Sullivan of the United Earth Defense Force," he began. "You came to our system expecting to fight our entire fleet. You expected us to send everything we had in one desperate battle. Instead, we sent one ship. One ship was all we needed." He paused to let his words sink in. On enemy ships throughout the fleet, alien crews were listening to words that no enemy had ever spoken to them before. "Your flagship is destroyed," Jake continued. "Your admiral is dead. Your command structure is broken. 17 of your ships are gone, and dozens more asking to surrender. This is what happens when you underestimate humanity." In the enemy fleet, ship commanders were talking to each other on emergency channels. They could not believe what they were hearing. One small human ship had done what entire fleets had failed to do. "You have a choice," Jake said. "You can continue this fight and learn just how much more damage one human ship can do. Or you can leave our system and carry a message back to your empire." He stepped closer to the camera. "Tell them that humanity is not like the other species you have conquered. Tell them that we do not need 1,000 ships to win a battle. We just need the courage to fight and the intelligence to fight smart." The bridge of the Defiance became quiet. Everyone was waiting to see how the enemy would respond. The fate of Earth hung in the balance. "Sir," Amy reported quietly, "I am reading power fluctuations throughout their fleet. Many ships are shutting down their weapons. Some of the smaller ships are already leaving," added Ryan. "They are not waiting for orders. They are just running away." Jake watched the tactical display. The enemy fleet that had seemed so powerful was now breaking apart. Fear was spreading through their ranks like a disease. They had never been defeated before, and they did not know how to handle it. "The big ships are still holding position," Amy observed. "But they are not attacking. They seem to be waiting for something." "They are waiting for new orders," Jake explained. "But there is no one left to give them orders. We destroyed their command structure. Now they do not know what to do." Sarah looked up from her communication station. "Sir, I am getting a signal from one of their bigger ships. It is not Admiral Vextar's voice. Someone else is trying to take command." "Put it on the screen," Jake ordered. A new alien face appeared on the view screen. This one looked younger than Admiral Vextar, with brighter scales and nervous eyes. When he spoke, his voice was not as confident as his dead admiral's had been. "I am Commander Zextal," the alien said. "I have taken temporary command of the fleet. You have surprised us, human. We did not expect such tactics from your species." Jake nodded. "I told you that you underestimated us." We are not like the other species you have conquered. No, the alien agreed. You are not. We have studied your world. We know you have a large fleet. Why did you send only one ship? Because one ship was enough, Jake replied simply. We do. Not waste resources on fights. We can win with intelligence instead of brute force. Commander Zextal was quiet for a long moment. Behind him, other aliens were working frantically at their controls. They were trying to reorganize their fleet, but it was not working well. What do you want from us? The alien commander finally asked. Jake smiled. I want you to leave. Take your ships and go home. Tell your empire that Earth is not an easy target. Tell them that humanity will fight for its freedom, no matter what the odds. And if we refuse? Zextal asked. Jake's smile disappeared. Then, you will join your admiral. One ship destroyed 17 of your command vessels. How many more do you think we can destroy before you finally decide to leave? The alien commander looked at something off-screen. Jake could hear other voices speaking in the alien language. They sounded worried and frightened. We need time to consider your offer, Zextal said finally. You have 5 minutes, Jake replied. After that, we will assume you want to continue fighting. And I promise you, the next 5 minutes will be much worse for you than the last 5 minutes were. The screen went dark. The enemy commander had ended the communication. Jake turned to his crew. What do you think? He asked. Will they leave? They are scared, Amy said. Their fleet is broken. They have no effective command structure. They know we can destroy more of their ships. But they also know they still have almost 3,000 ships, Ryan pointed out. Even damaged and confused, that is still a lot of firepower. Jake nodded. Yes, but they also know that we have weapons they have never seen before. They do. Not know what else we might be able to do. Fear of the unknown is often stronger than fear of the known. The 5 minutes seemed to last forever. Everyone on the bridge watched the enemy fleet on their screens. Some ships were still leaving. Others were trying to form new formations. A few were moving closer, as if preparing to attack. Time is up, Jake announced. Sarah. The Zephyrian fleet moved away from Earth like a wounded animal. Ship after ship turned around and headed for deep space. The formation that had once looked so threatening was now scattered and broken. Many ships were damaged, trailing smoke, and sparks as they limped away. Captain Jake Sullivan stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching the retreat on his main screen. It was hard to believe what had just happened. One human ship had defeated the largest fleet in the galaxy. The enemy that had conquered 17 worlds was running away. Sir, reported Lieutenant Commander Amy Peterson. Long-range sensors confirmed that all enemy ships are leaving the solar system. They are heading back toward Zephyrian space. How many ships did we destroy? Jake asked. Amy checked her computers. 17 command ships completely destroyed. 23 more heavily damaged. 8 supply ships destroyed. And we have reports that at least 40 smaller ships suffered damage from collisions when their formation broke apart. Commander. Ryan Walsh shook his head in amazement. One ship did all that damage to a fleet of 3,000. They will never believe this back home. Oh, they will believe it, said Lieutenant Sarah Kim with a smile. I recorded everything. Every moment of the battle is on file. The whole galaxy will know what happened here today. Jake nodded. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. The Zephyrian Empire would not give up easily. They would be back, probably with even more ships and better strategies. But something important had changed today. Sarah, get me Admiral Brooks, Jake ordered. She will want to know what happened. The main screen flickered and showed Admiral Catherine Brooks aboard the command station orbiting Earth. Her face showed relief and pride that she could not hide. Captain Sullivan, she said, her voice carrying across space, I have been watching the battle from here. I have to say, when one suggested sending one ship, I had my doubts. But you and your crew just did something that will be remembered forever. Jake smiled. We could not have done it without the technology your people gave us, Admiral. The quantum torpedoes worked perfectly. The adaptive shields held up against everything they threw at us. And the targeting computer never missed a shot. Technology is only as good as the people who use it, Catherine replied. You showed the enemy something they had never seen before. You showed them that humanity does not follow the same rules as everyone else. Sir, Amy interrupted, I am picking up a communication from the retreating fleet. Commander Zextal wants to speak with you. Jake looked at Admiral Brooks. Put him through. Let us hear what he has to say. The screen split to show both Admiral Brooks and the alien commander. Zextal looked tired and defeated. His bright scales had lost their shine, and his eyes showed the pain of losing his first battle. Captain Sullivan, the alien said, I want you to know that what happened today will not be forgotten. The Zephyrian Empire has never been defeated in battle. You have done something that we thought was impossible. Jake nodded. I hope you learned something from this, Commander. I hope you understand that not every species will bow down to your empire. We have learned much, Zextal agreed. We learned that humans are not like the other species we have conquered. We learned that sometimes intelligence is more powerful than numbers. And we learned that the galaxy is bigger and more dangerous than we thought. Admiral Brooks leaned forward. What will you tell your leaders when you return home? The alien commander was quiet for a moment. I will tell them the truth. I will tell them that humanity is not an easy target. I will tell them that your species fights in ways we do not understand. And I will tell them that the Empire needs to be more careful about who it chooses to attack. Good, Jake said. And Commander, if your Empire decides to come back, remember what happened today. Remember that we do not need 1,000 ships to defend ourselves. We just need the will to fight and the intelligence to fight smart. Zextal nodded slowly. I will remember, Captain. We all will. The communication ended. The alien fleet was now just dots of light disappearing into the darkness of space. The immediate threat to Earth was over. Jake, Admiral Brooks said, you need to come home. The whole world wants to meet the crew that saved humanity. On our way, Admiral, Jake replied. But first, I want to check on my people. This was hard on all of us. Jake walked around the bridge, talking to each member of his crew. They were tired but proud. They had done something that nobody thought was possible. They had shown the galaxy that humanity was not afraid of anyone. Danny, Jake called on the intercom. How is the ship? Better than new, Captain, came the reply from Chief Engineer Danny Torres. All systems are working perfectly. The new reactor is running cool and smooth. We are ready for whatever comes next, Jake smiled. Let us hope there is nothing coming next for a while. We have earned a rest. Sir, Sarah said, I am getting communications from all over human space. Every colony, every outpost, every ship in the fleet wants to know what happened. The news is spreading fast. Let them know we are all right, Jake said. Tell them that Earth is safe and the enemy is gone. But also tell them that this is just the beginning. The Zephyrian Empire will not give up easily. As the USS Defiance began its journey back to Earth, Jake thought about what they had accomplished. They had not just won a battle. They had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. They had shown that the Zephyrian Empire could be beaten. More importantly, they had shown other species that there was hope. For years, the Empire had seemed unstoppable. Every world that tried to fight them had been crushed. But now, one human ship had proven that the Empire could be defeated. Captain, Amy said, looking at her long-range sensors. "I am picking up something interesting. There are ships moving in other parts of the galaxy. Ships that are not Zephyrian." Jake moved to look at her screen. "What kind of ships?" "Unknown designs," Amy replied. "But they are moving toward systems that the Zephyrians conquered. It looks like other species are starting to fight back." Jake smiled. This was what he had hoped for. The victory today was not just about saving Earth. It was about inspiring others to stand up for themselves. "The revolution has begun," he said quietly. "Word of our victory is spreading. Other species are realizing that they do not have to accept slavery." Admiral Brooks had heard the conversation. "Jake, this is bigger than we thought. If other species start rebelling against the Empire, this could turn into a galaxy-wide war." "Maybe," Jake agreed. "But it will be a war fought by free people against tyrants. That is a war worth fighting." The USS Defiance continued toward Earth. Behind them, the last of the Zephyrian ships disappeared into hyperspace, carrying news of their defeat back to their home worlds. Ahead of them, Earth grew larger and brighter, a blue jewel in the darkness of space. "Sir," Ryan reported, "we are receiving a hero's welcome. Every ship in the Earth fleet is moving to escort us home. They want to honor what we did today." Jake looked at the screen showing dozens of human ships moving to join them. Cruisers, destroyers, fighters, and supply ships, all coming together to welcome home the crew that had saved their world. "They should not honor just us," Jake said. "They should honor the idea that we represented. The idea that humans will never give up, no matter how bad things look." "What happens now?" asked Sarah. "The Zephyrians will be back eventually. They will not let this defeat stand." Jake nodded. "You are right. They will be back. But they will be different when they come. They will be afraid. They will doubt themselves. And they will know that humanity is not like their other enemies." "Will one ship be enough next time?" Amy asked. Jake thought about that. "Maybe not. But next time, we will not be fighting alone. Other species will join us. The Empire's slaves will become its enemies. And when that happens, all the ships in the galaxy will not be enough to save them." The bridge became quiet as everyone thought about the future. The war was far from over. There would be more battles, more dangers, more impossible missions. But something fundamental had changed in the galaxy today. "You know what the best part is?" Jake said finally. "They expected an armada. They were prepared for a massive fleet battle. They had plans for fighting thousands of our ships. But we gave them something they could never prepare for." "What is that?" Ryan asked. Jake smiled. "We gave them one ship with a crew that refused to believe in impossible odds. We gave them humanity." The USS Defiance flew toward Earth, carrying its crew of heroes home. They had faced the largest fleet in galactic history with just one ship. They had stared down an enemy that had never lost a battle. And they had won. But more than that, they had started something that would spread across the galaxy. They had shown that the age of the Zephyrian Empire was ending. They had proven that sometimes the greatest victories come not from having the most ships or the biggest guns, but from having the courage to do what everyone says is impossible. The enemy had expected an armada. Humanity had chosen one ship instead, and that choice had changed everything. "Home," Jake said softly, looking at the blue planet growing larger on their screen. "We are going home as the crew that saved the world." "No," Amy corrected him with a smile. "We are going home as the crew that saved the galaxy." Jake nodded. She was right. What they had done today would echo across the stars for generations to come. The Zephyrian Empire. 3 months later, Captain Jake Sullivan stood in the same command center where Admiral Catherine Brooks had first told him about his impossible mission. The room looked the same, but everything else had changed. The big screen now showed a very different picture of the galaxy. "Show me the rebellion status," Jake said to the technician operating the display. The screen lit up with a map of known space. Green dots showed human colonies and allies. Red dots showed Zephyrian-controlled systems. But now there were also yellow dots scattered throughout the red areas. These were worlds in rebellion against the Empire. 47 systems have declared independence from the Zephyrian Empire, reported Colonel Lisa Morgan, who had been promoted after the victory. 12 more are in active rebellion. The Empire is fighting on dozens of fronts simultaneously. Admiral Brooks walked over to join them. She looked tired but happy. The past 3 months had been busy ones for Earth's military. The Zephyrians are losing control faster than they can respond to it. Every time they crush one rebellion, 3 more spring up. Jake nodded. This was what they had hoped for when they decided to send one ship instead of a fleet. They had not just wanted to win a battle. They had wanted to inspire others to fight for their freedom. "What about the USS Defiance?" Jake asked. "How is the refit going?" "Almost complete," Admiral Brooks replied. "The new quantum torpedo systems are even more powerful than the ones you used. We have also added better shields and faster engines. When you take her out again, she will be the most advanced ship in human space." "When we take her out again," Jake corrected. "My crew stays together. We work best as a team." The door opened, and Commander Ryan Walsh walked in, followed by Lieutenant Commander Amy Peterson and Lieutenant Sarah Kim. They had all been promoted after the battle, but they had all chosen to stay together on the Defiance. "Captain," Amy said with a smile, "you need to see this. The intelligence reports from the Zephyrian Empire are amazing." She handed him a data pad with the latest information from human spies. Jake read it quickly, and his eyebrows went up in surprise. "They are having internal problems?" he asked. "Big ones," Amy confirmed. The defeat at Earth caused a political crisis in their government. Some leaders want to negotiate peace with the rebels. Others want to attack with even larger fleets. They cannot agree on what to do. Sarah stepped forward. "It gets better. Our victory has become a legend among the Empire's slaves. They call it the day one ship changed everything. Stories about the battle are spreading faster than the Empire can stop them." Jake looked at the rebellion map again. Each yellow dot represented millions of people who had decided to fight for their freedom, all because one human ship had proven that the Empire could be beaten. "Sir," Ryan said, "we have received a message from the Altarian resistance. They want our help. Their world has declared independence, but the Zephyrians are sending a large fleet to crush them." Jake looked at Admiral Brooks. "How large?" 800 ships, she replied. "Not as big as the fleet that came to Earth, but still massive. The Altarians have maybe 50 ships total." "What are you thinking?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer. Admiral Brooks smiled. "I am thinking that the USS Defiance needs a test flight for her new systems. And I am thinking that the galaxy needs to see that Earth's victory was not just luck." Jake nodded. "When do we leave?" "Tomorrow," Admiral Brooks said. "But this time you will not be alone. We are sending a small task force with you. 5 ships. Total. Still heavily outnumbered," Amy observed. "Yes," Jake agreed. "But the Zephyrians will expect us to bring a huge fleet to match theirs. Instead, we will show them that humans still prefer to fight smart rather than fight big." The next morning, the USS Defiance left Earth orbit along with 4 other ships. They were the newest and most advanced vessels in the human fleet, but they were still just 5 ships against 800 dot as they traveled through hyperspace toward the Altarian system. Jake called his crew together in the main briefing room. These were the same people who had been with him during the battle for Earth, plus a few new faces. 3 months ago, we faced impossible odds and won. Jake began. Today, we face impossible odds again. The difference is that, this time, the whole galaxy is watching. Chief Engineer Danny Torres raised his hand. Sir, are we really going to fight 800 ships with just 5? Jake smiled. Danny, 3 months ago, you asked me if we were really going to fight 3,000 ships with just 1. How did that work out? Danny grinned. Pretty well, sir. The key is not how many ships we have, Jake continued. The key is how we use them. The Zephyrians still think in terms of big fleets and massive battles. They have not learned that sometimes a small force with the right strategy can defeat a large force with no strategy. What is the plan? Asked Amy. Jake activated the holographic display in the center of the room. It showed the Altarian system, with the enemy fleet approaching from one direction and the human task force approaching from another. The Zephyrians will expect us to defend the planet directly, Jake explained. They will form up in a standard attack formation and try to overwhelm us with numbers. Instead, we are going to attack their supply lines. He highlighted several ships at the back of the enemy formation. Those are their fuel and ammunition ships. Without them, even the biggest warship becomes useless. We hit those first, then use our speed and maneuverability to stay ahead of their main force. Hit and run tactics, Ryan observed. Like what pirates used to do against merchant ships. Exactly, Jake confirmed. We are not trying to destroy their entire fleet. We are trying to make it impossible for them to continue fighting. When they run out of fuel and ammunition, they will have to withdraw. Sarah looked worried. What? If they split their fleet? What if they send some ships after us and keep the rest to attack the planet? Then we have succeeded, Jake replied. A divided fleet is a weakened fleet. If they split up, neither group will be strong enough to accomplish its mission. The briefing continued for an hour as they went over every detail of the plan. By the time they finished, everyone knew exactly what they had to do. 2 days later, they arrived at the Altarian system. The planet was a beautiful world with blue oceans and green continents. It looked a lot like Earth. The people who lived there were humanoid, with gray skin and large eyes. They had been slaves of the Empire for 20 years. Sir, Amy reported, the Zephyrian fleet is in position around the planet. 800 ships, just as intelligence predicted. They are demanding surrender. And the Altarian fleet? Jake asked. 53 ships, holding position near the planet's largest moon. They are outnumbered 16-1. Jake nodded. Send a message to the Altarian fleet commander. Tell him to hold position and wait for our signal. Then target the enemy. Supply ships. It is time to show the galaxy that Earth's victory was not a fluke. The 5 human ships moved toward the enemy fleet like sharks approaching a school of fish. The Zephyrians saw them coming, but did not change their formation. They thought 5 ships were too few to be a real threat. They were about to learn how wrong they were. All ships, begin the attack, Jake ordered. Target the supply vessels. Make every shot count. The battle for Altair had begun. Once again, the enemy expected a massive fleet battle. Once again, humanity had chosen a different path. The USS Defiance and her sister ships struck like lightning. Their quantum torpedoes and advanced weapons tore through the enemy supply ships before the Zephyrians could react. Within minutes, half of the enemy fleet's fuel and ammunition were gone. Direct hits on 12 supply ships, Amy reported. The enemy fleet is losing cohesion. They are trying to protect the remaining supplies. Perfect, Jake said. Now we run. Make them chase us away from the planet. The human ships accelerated away from Altair, drawing a large portion of the enemy fleet after them. The Zephyrians fell for the bait, leaving the planet less defended. Signal the Altarian fleet, Jake ordered. Tell them to attack now, while the enemy is divided. The gray-skinned aliens struck with desperate courage. Their 50 ships attacked the remaining Zephyrian forces around their homeworld. It was still an uneven fight, but not impossible anymore. "Sir," Sarah reported, "we are getting reports from across the galaxy. News of this battle is spreading. Other rebel fleets are launching their own attacks." Jake smiled. This was bigger than just saving one planet. This was about changing the balance of power in the entire galaxy. "The age of the Zephyrian Empire is ending," he said, "and the age of freedom is beginning." The battle continued for hours, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The enemy fleet, divided and running low on supplies, could not maintain their attack. One by one, they began to withdraw. By the end of the day, Altair was free. The Zephyrian fleet was gone, and the people of the planet were celebrating their independence. "Mission accomplished," Jake announced to his crew. "Another impossible victory for the good guys." "How many more impossible missions do you think we will get?" asked Danny. Jake looked at the star map showing rebellions erupting across the galaxy. "As many as it takes, Danny. As many as it takes." The enemy had expected an armada, but humanity had chosen 5 ships instead. And once again, it had been enough. The legend of the USS Defiance continued to grow. Across the galaxy, people tall,